Submerged Italian village makes a baffling appearance after 70 years underwater. An underwater village that re-emerges from the depths of the sea is a more common story than you might even think. In May of 2021, the remains of a submerged Italian village had been revealed for the very first time in over 7 decades. The village was discovered at the bottom of Lake Regia, which is a 2.5 square mile artificial lake nestled right near the borders of Austria and Switzerland. The lake had been quite a popular tourist as well as a hiking destination, both in the summer and the winter months. A seasonal freezing allowed for any visitors to venture out onto it. With a rather dramatic 14th-century steeple emerging from its beautiful turquoise waters, the setting had even inspired a book as well as a Netflix series. But no screenwriter could have ever written what happened that fateful week. Back in 1950, the village of Curon was once said to be home to hundreds of Italians. That was long before the village was reportedly intentionally flooded to make way for a hydroelectric plant nearby. Fast forward almost 71 years, when repairs had forced a team to temporarily drain the lake. In true cinematographic fashion, the remains of a forgotten village had appeared as the lake water was removed. Locals who had once visited this site for its serene lake are now coming to walk the lake's bottom to see the astonishing ruins. Although none of the homes had survived the flood, old steps, cellars, and even walls that had spent several decades on the lake bed were suddenly exposed. The temporary dry spell is quite likely the first of its kind. Even though certain reports have noted that the lake was marginally drained back in 2009 to fix cracks that had formed all along the sides of the tower. The bizarre sunken village reportedly sits in South Tyrol, which is a mountainous alpine province that is nestled at the intersection of Italy, Austria and Switzerland. According to another report, Italy had annexed South Tyrol from the Austro-Hungarian Empire in 1919. At the very end of Most people in the region are said to be native German speakers. After the annexation, Benito Mussolini's Italian government had gone ahead with the plan to flood the entire area between two of the neighboring basins and also create Lake Regia. Despite all the local pushback, the project still moved forward. Nearly 150 families, almost 1,000 people had been displaced by the flooding, according to estimates. The mostly German-speaking villagers of Curon had struggled to understand the Italian language plans for their village's sudden submersion, only recognizing its severe impact when it was too late. All residents had been offered small sums to relocate to a town nearby, Curon Ventosa. But almost half of the city's population had been forced to immigrate as a result of losing their homes. The eerie drowned village had even inspired a 2018 novel, Resto Qui, by the Italian author Marco Bolzano, as well as a 2020 Netflix thriller television series, Curon. According to further reports, Bolzano had reflected in his book that the story of Curon is said to represent a rather problematic memory that spreads from that tiny village to the rest of Italy, which takes us back to difficult times. In recent decades, the bell tower that has always been poking out of the lake has drawn tourists from all around the world. When the water freezes during the winter, visitors can easily walk up and even touch the historic bell tower. In another discovery, archaeologists had even unearthed the fossil remains of at least 9 Neanderthal men in a cave very close to Rome that were reportedly devoured by a hyena. Researchers at the Archaeological Superintendency of Latina and the University of Tor Vergata in Rome had also excavated the fossil fragments, some of which reportedly date back to farther than 50,000–68,000 years. The skeletal remains of Neanderthals had been found approximately 100 km southeast of the Roman town. Of all the total bones discovered at the site, one was said to belong to a toddler, 7 are adult males, and 1 is reportedly a female, all of whom are believed to be an estimated 100,000 years old, ranging across several years. This was as per the detailed analysis of all the skull caps as well as the broken jaw bones discovered at the Guattari cave in the coastal town of San Felice-Circuito. Other bizarre remnants of 20th century history have been scattered throughout the South Tyrol region. During Italian and Austro-Hungarian troops had fought perilous battles at extremely high altitudes, in as well as around several of the region's famous mountain passes, even tunneling barracks in the sides of glaciers. Today, tourists can even still spy derelict pieces of the cableway, bridges as well as cliffside bases throughout the frigid Alps.